Namaste. I'm Nikita, the founder of the world's very first Dharma diploma. I take people on a journey from karma to Dharma. I'm so pleased that you've decided to spend the next hour with me. In today's masterclass, we're going to really dive deeply into understanding what the difference is between karma and Dharma, and most importantly, how to cross what I call a bridge between the two. So if you're ready, get yourself into a quiet place where you will not be distracted for the next hour. In this session, you might just unravel answers to questions that have been on your mind for years, if not decades. If you're anything like me, then you might be wondering who you are and what the meaning of your life is. That's what I was wondering. And that's why, when I was just 16 years old, I changed my name, because I felt like the name given to me at birth didn't align with my true identity. Then, at the age of 18, I went to India by myself, my motherland, the place where my parents were born. And it was there that I discovered my roots. And the question that was on my mind throughout my 10-year stay, yes, 10 years in India, the question that was on my mind was, who am I? And I kept asking myself that question. And today, 20 years later, I still ask it. For me, it's the most profound question. And I love it when people come to me asking this. It's a beautiful evolution of the soul's journey. See, I believe that each one of us, and when I say each one of us, I mean each soul, is on earth for just two reasons. I know it may sound simplistic, but hear me out. I believe that we're here, firstly, to fulfill our karma, and secondly, to step into our Dharma. So what does this mean exactly? Our karma is our action. So you may have heard the saying, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that's true. So when we talk about fulfilling our karma, what we really mean is coming to balance. So we get to a point where we're no longer giving and receiving, but instead we're in balance with everything around us. Dharma, on the other hand, is our truth. It's the essence of who we are. It's our highest potential. And it's the very reason that we're here. So I love helping people to cross from one state to another. But first of all, let's understand what this means for you in your daily life. Because this is, after all, spirituality with practicality. So if we're operating from a place of karma, what we're really doing is thinking from obligation. So that's how I felt recently. I was running a dance and yoga studio for 20 years. That's a long time to be running a business. But for me, it wasn't just a business. It was my calling at that time. It was a community that I had built over 2 decades. But I started feeling like it was no longer aligned with my highest purpose. And so I took the very brave step of stepping away from that brand and from the community that I had built up. And it was very hard for me to do that. But I knew that I had to in order to step over the bridge, as I say, to the other side. And so that's what I'm going to help you to do in this session. So when we think about karma, we think about our obligation. Do you ever feel like, I have to go there, I must do this, I should? And that's because you're basically thinking about things from a place of having to do them rather than wanting to do them. And so the opposite of that would be operating from Dharma, which is really doing things that light you up. And you might say, well, that's not always possible. I have to take my daughter to ballet, for example, or I have to take my son to football. I don't necessarily want to do that, it doesn't light me up, but I have to. And that's true. So with this situation, what we're doing is we're changing the perception of it. So rather than looking at it from a place of I have to, thinking of it from a place of I want to. Karma is also associated with our jobs. So many people are in jobs that don't align with their core values. One of my clients recently, she told me that she was very passionate about climate change, yet the employer that she's working for is a company that actually pollutes the environment. So it's completely misaligned. Similarly, somebody else came to me and said that she is very passionate about children not having too much exposure to the digital world, and she would love to see laws in place where every country only allows children to have a social media account after the age of 18. And when I asked her where she worked, she said she actually worked for one of the biggest social media firms. And so what this shows us is that sometimes we need to be in a situation where we're exposed to something, and that shows us, it almost highlights the misalignment. So if you're currently in a job that you don't enjoy or that you feel is not aligned with you and your highest self or your truth, it might be there to show you that. It might be there to almost identify that, like they say that we have to meet lots of wrong partners in order to find the right one. And what we mean by that is you've got to meet lots of people who don't fit your criteria, who don't match your wavelength, in order to really understand what it is that you do want. So it might be the same with your job, relationship, anything in your life, any area of your life. And so what we want to be doing is dissecting all of these areas and starting to think about them all from a place of what lights me up rather than what do I feel like I have to do. If you feel like you're waking up with this feeling of dread, uncertainty, anxiety, it's because one or more areas in your life is not aligned with your truth. It's because something is pulling you, but you're not necessarily following it. Perhaps you don't know what it is, or you do know what it is and you're not taking that brave step. In my case, I knew for the past few years that running my studio was really satisfying, but it wasn't my true calling. I just felt like I had more potential. I knew that there was more in me, and I kept trying to ignore that feeling, but it was niggling away. It was my inner voice, my intuition telling me, you're meant for something more. You're supposed to be doing something that's on a different path. And then my limiting beliefs would kick in and say, no, but I've trained as a dancer and as a yoga teacher, and I must do this. And I have a commitment to the people that I serve and to the community that I've built up. And so I went through this real battle. The battle of the mind. We often say lower self and higher self. So the lower self is the logical, the analytical, the rational part of the mind, and yet the higher self is the intuitive, the wise part of the mind. And these two parts are constantly at war with one another, and each one wants their voice to be heard. Which one do you listen to? I listen to my higher self, and here I am today, showing up in my Dharma, my truth, as I present this for you. It lights me up. Can you see, can you feel my energy as I share this knowledge with you, this wisdom, this experience that I've been on, this journey? And so when we cross over this bridge from karma to Dharma, what we're doing is we're stepping into our truth. We're stepping into a version of ourselves that's much greater. It's the reason we came here. It's our soul's calling. So if you're still watching this, it's because you feel that pull. You feel that calling. You know you're destined for more. And I don't just mean in job. Dharma's not a job title. It's not a sentence. It's not a statement. It's a way of being. It's a state. And so to be in a state of Dharma means to just show up and be in your truth. One of my clients, she was a little bit apprehensive about this concept, and she signed up for my Dharma diploma program, and she said to me, Nikita, promise me in 9 months I'm going to find my purpose. I laughed because I knew that it actually wouldn't take that long. The program itself is 9 months, but the actual activation starts immediately. As soon as you say yes, things just start moving, things just start unfolding. And as it happened for her, month after month, things just kept changing. She left her job that she didn't enjoy. She moved into another home. She made a new set of friends. She started baking again. She realized she had a passion for doing hair and makeup. Like so many things started shifting bit by bit, bit by bit. And at the end of the 9 months, I asked her this question. I said, did you find your purpose? And she said, I found a new way of being. And that was beautiful to hear, because she was very much of the mindset that purpose was a fancy title or a sentence or a statement, which many people think it is, but it's not. It's not at all. It's just you being the real you, the one you were always born to be. So how do you step into that? How do you cross the bridge? I bet you're wondering that. I hope you're wondering that. If you are, then I'm going to give you my 3-part framework. This is the framework that has changed my life. This is the framework that has changed the lives of countless number of clients and students that I've been working with over the last 2 decades. So here it goes. The first pillar of our framework is healing. Healing your past. This is so important. It's in fact the most important part. It's the foundation. If you don't heal your past, I believe you cannot step forward into your future. So it's really about going back in order to go forward. And what I mean by that is we've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to be brave and have courage to go inwards and to face ourselves and to dissect parts of our lives that perhaps we've closed off to or we've blocked. And we might think, oh no, I've dealt with that. I don't need to go back to that. Yet the subconscious mind, it might still be going on. The body holds trauma. The body holds pain. So if there's anything you've been through in your life that's not yet been resolved, this is your starting point. You must go back. There are a range of modalities that you can use. I personally use energy healing for this, and it's worked amazingly in my own life. In fact, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition in my mid-20s, and I'm very pleased to say that now, at the age of 40, I'm completely cured of my condition. And that is the result of these 3 pillars, and energy healing is definitely an important part of that. Another thing you can do for healing is inner child work. It's so important that we go back to the child within us and we offer the reassuring parenting. Now, even if you're watching this and thinking, oh no, I had a good childhood, I don't need that, you'll be surprised. So many of my clients say that to me, and yet once we really dive in, they realize there's so much there beneath the surface, and each one of us has a child inside of us that's waiting to be nurtured and loved. And so that is another modality you can use. Another one is forgiveness. I love doing forgiveness work, and this is where you go back and you start to write letters to people that have hurt you, people that have betrayed you, that have let you down. Now, you don't need to send those letters, but it's about you releasing any anger, frustration, pain, whatever you want to let out. It's a very cathartic process. Also, forgiving yourself. So many of us are able to let go of pain from others, but then when it comes to ourselves, we're very hard. And so another thing I get my clients to do is write a letter of forgiveness to yourself, your younger self. Those are just a few of the ways that you can heal. And of course, there are so many more. And in my program, we do actually explore many more than this. The second pillar is well-being. Now, I love this one. And so I believe that everyone needs to integrate well-being into their daily lives. Well-being is about being mindful, being aware, being intentional. And there are many different tools that you can use. My favorite ones are dance, yoga, and journaling. I love these three because dance connects the body and the mind. And when you dance, you're in a state of flow. You're not thinking, you're just moving and swaying with music and rhythm. Yoga encompasses postures, breath work, and meditation, which are also good for the mind-body connection. And journaling, as we said earlier, with the healing part, journaling can be a really cathartic way of expressing your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. And the third pillar is personal development. Now, this is where things get really exciting. I love this one. And when my clients get to this stage, it's really fascinating because personal development is about really dissecting your personality. So it's understanding who you are. Many of us go through life studying the external world. So we learn different subjects, we learn about animals, we learn about nature. But how many of us actually study ourselves, our own behaviors, our habits, our thought processes, our limiting beliefs, all of these things that make up our personality? And so what I love doing with people is really understanding, brainstorming, pulling apart everything that they are, and also thinking about how their experiences have shaped them. So when we go through things in life, they either reinforce beliefs that we've already got, or they change our beliefs. So you might go through a really difficult marriage, for example, and it really might change your opinion about marriage or about relationships. And so it's about ensuring that all of your experiences that you've been through are being given a meaning that is beneficial for you. So it's not that you've gone through something and then you've shut off from that and thought, all marriages are bad, for example. That would be a limiting belief. So it's about always having a really open mind and being able to take learning from our life experiences. And so when we put all of these three pillars together, what's created is this beautiful framework, an amalgamation of healing our past, integrating well-being into our present, and personal development for the future. And this is what has helped me and so many of my clients cross that bridge from karma to dharma. But it's very difficult to do this alone. In fact, I would go as far as saying that having a teacher or a mentor is so important. In fact, imagine going to school without a teacher. It's the same going through life without a mentor. So having somebody who's walked the path, someone who doesn't just read from textbooks, but somebody that actually imparts from their lived experiences. And that's what I do in my role as a teacher, a mentor, and a coach. My Dharma Diploma program is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to know who they are, ready to know what they're here for, ready to take those next steps, to be out of their comfort zone, to step into a life that they were destined to live. If you're watching this now, it could be that you are feeling that pull. You know you've got potential. You know you're meant for more. You just don't know what yet. And that's a really exciting place to be. In fact, I know it feels scary because I've been through it myself. But it's actually really exciting because then when you look at your future, what you see in front of you is a blank canvas. And it's from that canvas that we can redesign whatever it is that we want to. But when we redesign our Dharma, what we're doing is operating from a place of truth rather than obligation, which is karma. If this inspires you and you want to dive deeper, then consider my 9-month Dharma Diploma program. The reason it's 9 months is because that's how long it takes to birth. And what are we birthing? A new identity, a new version of ourselves. And this is a beautiful process to go through. In fact, one of my clients, she was a little bit skeptical when she joined the program. She kept asking me if she would definitely find her purpose within 9 months. And I laughed because I know it actually doesn't take that long. And what I've done is divided this into 3 modules. The first module is Discover Your Dharma. The second module is Develop Your Dharma. And the third module is Design Your Dharma. So the first 3 months, what we're doing is discovering. This is the brainstorming. This is the dissecting. This is the analyzing, the navigating. It's like really understanding who you are or who you want to be. The second section is the developing. Okay, how do we put that into practical terms? What do we do with that? If you loved, drawing as a child, let's bring your drawing back. If you love writing, let's bring writing back. It's about creating a lifestyle that's really aligned with who you are. And then the third step is designing. And what that means is it's about really setting something up that enables you to execute your truth, your purpose through that medium. It actually doesn't matter what medium you choose. And that's why I often laugh when people ask me about purpose in terms of work, because it's not related to job. Although your job is part of it, it really is about becoming a version of yourself that is really true and really pure and aligned. So once you've got that, whether you then take that and become a nurse or become a makeup artist or become any job, it doesn't matter, because what you're doing is you're showing up authentically. Like right now I'm in my Dharma. I'm not trying. This is effortless for me. I'm able to just be myself, and I hope you're receiving my energy. And so really transitioning from karma to Dharma is about really being in tune with who you are on the inside, about understanding your core skills, your strengths, your passions, and what lights you up. So by the end of the course, what I'm looking for is not for you to have a fancy job title or to, have a different way of thinking, but a different way of being. So what I see in my clients and participants of this course is a complete shift in their energy. So their mindset and their energy become aligned, and the two work together in a beautiful dance, and that dance is known as Dharma. So if you're intrigued by this process, and if you feel ready to take that step, then this is an application-based program. This is important for me to make sure that whoever is participating is really aligned and on board and ready to do the inner work, because this is about you diving inwards. It's about facing your truth. And there might be truths that are uncomfortable, and that's why it's important to have a guide so that I can walk you through and hold your hand as you cross that bridge from karma to Dharma. So if you're intrigued, you can apply using the link below. And I'm looking forward to supporting your journey. Namaste.